You might have grown up hearing that Walt Disney was the first person to make a full-length feature animated film, and while Snow White is a beautiful work of art and the first full-length animated film with color and sound, he wasn't really the first person to make a full-length animated film. There were plenty of animators from around the globe who were making feature-length projects in a variety of different styles, but unfortunately, due to the outlook on film at that time as more of a temporary medium, the first few decades of filmmaking have been lost, or many of those films have been lost due to fires or poor preservation. And while the United States might have been one of the major hubs of filmmaking during the silent film era, Germany was another. You may know about German Expressionism with films like Nosferatu or The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Those were major exports from Germany to the world, but animation was also a key factor in Germany's booming film scene. At the center of that was Charlotte Reiniger, or Lotte as she liked to be called, who currently holds the title for the oldest animated film still in existence, The Adventures of Prince Ahmed. It's a stunning work of art from the silent film era where each scene continues to become more and more elaborate. And if you're familiar with the Arabian Nights story, then you'll understand this film. It was actually one of the first movies that we covered in the Animated 100 series on this channel, and you can check that video out later, but Lotte Reiniger's contributions to animation don't stop with a single movie. Reiniger began her career in the filmmaking industry by making costumes and props, while doing silhouettes of the actors on the side as more of just a fun hobby, but they got attention. And ultimately, she got hired to do the interstill card titles, the 1918 film The Pied Piper of Hamelin. This would catapult her into further education in animation and would set her up for years to make animated short films and commercials. The first short that Reiniger animated and directed herself was The Ornament of the Enamored Heart in 1919. More popularly, she made a short film titled Ashtonpoodle in 1922 based on the Grimm Brothers' Cinderella story. As soon as this video goes live, I'm also posting another video over on Patreon about her version of Cinderella. It's part of my watch-along series there where every other week we get together and sit down and watch an animated short film. I get to discuss some of the history about it. It's a lot of fun. It's one of the many things that goes on over on Patreon, and for $5 a month, you get access to everything. My reviews, the extra videos, and you get your chance to have your name in the end credits of every Modern Mouse video that you're still part of the Patreon program for. It really does help me out a lot. If you're interested in signing up, please do so. It would keep me going and hopefully turn this into a full-time career. That does lead us to 1926 and the Adventures of Prince Ahmed. Reiniger wasn't alone in creating this movie. Her husband, Carl Koch, had long been her photographer, and fellow filmmakers and animators like Walter Ruttman and Walter Turk also helped out. But despite all of that, you can't deny how detailed and mesmerizing her work is to look at. I mean, she was using light and cardboard and scissors. And what stands out in Prince Ahmed isn't just the stylistic silhouettes, but the drama behind it. Animation had always been silly cartoons, but Reiniger had made the choice to not make Ahmed as funny as it could be, rather leaning into the drama to tell the proper story. And that also leads to Reiniger integrating more openly sexual elements. Ahmed is consistently surrounded by women, sometimes even nude, or, we could presume nude since they're silhouettes. And the film also features an openly gay romance, the first of its kind in animation. While Germany during the Weimar era, prior to the Nazi takeover, was much more liberal and open about sexuality, this was still a taboo topic and a risk for film. When the movie debuted in Paris, it became an instant hit and would make its way around the world, making Reiniger not just a name in Germany, but a name in animation globally. While her version of animation might kind of seem primitive now and more shadow puppetry than real filmmaking, it wasn't at the time, especially since she wasn't just putting cardboard on one plane of glass. She actually had multiple planes of glass with a camera hanging above it to create depth. If you are familiar with animation history, you might think that that sounds like the multiplane camera invented by Ub Iwerks for Disney in the 1930s. And you'd be correct. Not only was Reiniger making full-length animated films years before Disney, but she essentially designed and built something similar to the multiplane camera before anybody else. When World War II began, she reluctantly made propaganda films for the Nazi Party before her and her husband fled the country. They'd spend a decade or so moving from country to country with visas before settling in London after the war, where she would end up making mini animated shorts based on Grimm fairy tales for the BBC. She'd try her hand at live-action filmmaking as well, and provide illustrations for books and continue to work in commercial advertising up until her death in 1981. While I don't think that Walt Disney or any of the major animation names ever stole directly from Lotte Reiniger, it's clear that she had an influence on animation. Not only is she the first major female animator and director to make animated movies, but she pioneered camera work. She brought shadow puppetry and stop motion to the mainstream film world, and continually worked to develop animation for years, pushing a narrative of serious drama over slapstick comedy, highlighting lessons for children, as well as portraying open sexuality and queer relationships long before anybody else ever did so in the animation industry. She is a real pioneer of the art form, and one I don't believe gets enough recognition for her work. Maybe it's because she wasn't part of the major Hollywood system, or maybe it was because she was a woman in a male-dominated medium. Whatever the case might be, she deserves to be highlighted and remembered as one of the greats in animation and filmmaking.